Watching your children grow up can be bittersweet. In this episode of Barn Stories, we learn that watching your horse watch your children grow up is even more so.
Welcome to the Barn Stories podcast. I'm Lori Prinz, editor of Equus Magazine.
And I'm managing editor Christine Barakat.
This podcast features our favorite essays and articles published in Equus over the past 40 years. Although Equus is known for articles on horse care and veterinary research, our editorial mission has always been guided by the bond that exists between horses and people. And each issue has featured a real-life story that celebrates how horses enrich our lives and touch our hearts.
We've searched our archives, chosen the stories that resonated with our readers, and given them new life in this audio format. Longtime subscribers may recognize some of their favorite pieces. And if you're new to the Equus community, these stories will confirm that no matter what sort of saddle you sit in, a deep emotional connection to horses is something we all share.
The essay we've selected for this episode highlights how a horse can truly become a member of the family. The gelding in this story, a thoroughbred named Buddy, has grown up with the children of his owner. As a result, Buddy is an integral part of the family's memories and milestones.
It's not clear from the essay if the children ever rode Buddy, but it is clear they didn't have to in order to form a relationship with him, or he with them. Now, with the kids grown and having left home, he's adapting to the quieter pace of life and helping their mother do the same. The essay is a bit wistful, but at its heart, it's a joyful celebration of family and all its forms and stages.
So let's listen to Abide With Me, written by S.J. Strazzo and read by Taylor Autumn.
Buddy, our bay thoroughbred gelding, is growing old. When I pull into the driveway and tap the horn, he greets me at a sedate walk. He used to come running, whinnying happily. I was present when he was born, and as I watch him amble toward me, memories stir. I can still see him as the baby who grew up with my children. In fact, the entire history of my family is intertwined with his. In his younger years, Buddy kept pace with the kids. Daily, from his side of the fence, he strode along next to tricycles, big wheels, and a parade of bitter, dressed-up cats held captive in old strollers. This was not a place for the faint-hearted, but nothing the children did ever seemed to faze him. I smile as I notice landmarks on his body. He has a scar on his left foreleg from a deep gash he gave himself on the same day I discovered my younger daughter had a hernia. I connect these two events because, while we were at the hospital, our sainted veterinarian and his loyal assistant had a lively time cornering Buddy in the pasture to stitch his leg. The day my son started kindergarten was the same day I rode Buddy for the first time. It was like sitting on helicopter blades. Despite all the time I had spent introducing him to the saddle, bridle, driving reins, etc., Buddy seemed utterly unprepared for the main event. It was a most traumatic insult to his personality, especially when he realized that I was going to be the one to decide in which direction we would go and at what pace.
Over 90% of performance horses experience gastric discomfort or ulcers. This discomfort shows itself as a bad attitude, unwillingness to respond to cues, or your partner may act cinchy and does not perform at their best. This discomfort is costing you blue ribbons and paychecks. This is where Forage First GS can help. It calms the stomach by increasing the pH, all while strengthening and providing protection to the stomach lining. The unique triple action blend of ingredients in ADM's Forage First GS supplement could be your ticket to a willing partner, blue ribbons, and many paychecks. ADM's Forage First GS supplement helps support a healthy gastric pH while protecting and strengthening the stomach lining. Help keep your horse happy and performing at its best. Forage First GS, gastric support for the one you love the most.
Evidently, my son had the same idea about kindergarten. Waiting in the line of cars at the school that afternoon, I was covered in dust, perspiration, and a mixture of rage and disgust. I think the ride was an even draw, each of us forced to bow to a will equal to our own. When my son appeared, stomping down the steps, I saw myself and Buddy mirrored in his attitude and posture. For all the years my children were in school, Buddy watched for the bus to bring them home. After they graduated, he still waited. You could tell that he was frustrated, that his internal clock was upset, like he didn't understand that the children grew up. He still lowers his head when one of the kids pets him, just as he did when they were small. Buddy's eyes are full of years now. He seems peaceful, but I'm not used to him being so quiet. Still, every lift of his head conveys a meaning. I can tell when he's interested, bored, aggravated. But sadly, I see his years speeding by while mine appear to stand still. The children return sporadically, and Buddy and I both wait for them, seemingly trapped in a time loop of watching the seasons change and celebrations pass. As I look out the window now, I see him at the gate. He still stands and watches for me, socks askew, and I'm certain that he always will, in this world and in the next. He sees me now, and his eyes brighten. He whinnies a greeting, and I go to meet him.
Thanks for listening to Barn Stories. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a favorite article or essay from the Equus archives that you'd like us to feature in a future podcast, let us know. You can reach us at equusbarnstories, all one word, @gmail.com. Did you enjoy this episode of Barn Stories? Head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Thanks for listening. The Barn Stories podcast is a production of the Equine Podcast Network, an entity of the Equine Network.